So far, we've talked about Oceanside principle, talk them out, and they'll love you for it. You talk them out in advance, man, that's where they will trust you, they will respect you, and they'll be like, oh, I got this. And they'll follow you anywhere. Loyalty, talk about creating loyalty. All right, we've talked about that. We've talked about a 10% bonus, some sort of bonus to just anchor in a culture and a team of not quitting. All right, third, final commitment interviews. So I'm going to text you, I'm going to text the group right now, 2 scripts. I'm going to text you guys these scripts right here, part 1 and part 2. And I would invite you to use these, make them your own, make them better. And we're going to go over these real quick right now. But this is where you sit down. In fact, hold on, give me a second. Let me text these to you right now. Oh, I love it, Blake. I just got your text. I love that. Okay, sounds great. Okay, right here. I just sent you in the group text, final commitment interview part 1 and final commitment interview part 2. This is where you over communicate clarity. This is where you help your guys to be crystal clear on what to expect. And I would invite you, you don't have anybody, and this is just on you to do. Don't have anybody come out to be on your team in a summer without having this interview. And there's 2 parts to it. That's what I got myself finally realized. I'm not willing to bring anybody on without having this. And here's the thing, it's not hard. Everybody on your team will do this with you if they're actually serious. If they're ghosting you, they're going to ghost you in the summer anyway. So like, let's face reality. Like, but if somebody's actually planning on coming out, it's an easy interview. It's fun. And it's also like, I mean, there's fun parts, but this is an extension of the Oceanside principle. So I'm going to share screen. Before you have, good, see the thumbs up. Before you have somebody come out, you're like, all right, cool, part 1. Okay, you want to be very clear on when they're starting, their finish date. You want to make sure you have their finish date because that changes. Trust me. Once they get going, it's going to get shorter. Like, oh no, I got to get early. This is the date that early on, it's easy to commit. Well, yeah, I'm good all the way through the summer. You don't want people telling you, no, halfway through the summer, I got to leave a month early because of this thing. No, this is, your commitment. Who do you want to live with? You get your stuff. If there's deposits, if you're doing, that's a whole nother conversation, how you're doing things. Training on the doors with management. This is where you sit down with them and you go, listen. And one of the worst things you can do is have reps feeling entitled to when they're trained by you or a manager. The worst thing you can do is have them expect to be given fish. We're talking, leaders don't create followers. Leaders create more leaders. How do you create more leaders? Their training, their job is to learn, not to be handed fish. And so I learned from so many times having to give away deals to entitled reps that ended up, like, especially early on before I learned all these tools I'm teaching you, they would quit. I'd give them deals and they'd quit. And then the company wouldn't pay me for it. And it was a big problem. The same thing with my management. You just let them know, like, hey, the standard is we're going to train you a couple times the first few weeks. And during that training, your job is to learn to fish. I'm not going to be handing out fish. Your trainers that are training you, they're expected to sell at a high level. We're going to be leading from the front. You're going to see how it's done and make sure they understand that up front. So they're not expecting you to hand them fish. It's the worst thing you can do to cripple the people you lead, in my opinion. You don't have to do any of this stuff, but this is the type of thing you want to talk with them about in this final interview, final commitment interview. Commitment to the office. What's your commitment level? Scale of 1 to 10. I don't want to be cheesy with you, but like, what? I'm a 10. Okay, what makes you say that? Boom, because of this, because of this. And then this is where you have them sign. It's a letter of agreement where they initial and sign, and you keep this filed away. My responsibilities begin on this date. My work day, I'll arrive, I will never give up. I'll never quit. I'm committing to that. And I'm also committed to work, right? I'm working all the time that I'm there. I'm not just, existing. We're not going to have that. I'll ride in the vans. Now that's another conversation for another time. I'm happy to have this with all of you guys in another day on like strategy on cars, vans. What's the best way? And I can give you my 2 cents and brainstorm. And you guys are all really good at what you do. You know what you're doing there, but what's the best practice? But whatever it is, you want to crystallize it and have them initial. If I accept the opportunity to train with my managers, I agree that those sales are going to the management and my trainers, not to me. Okay, I agree. I understand that. I've thoroughly been explained my pay scale. Yes, right? I understand if I don't hit the requirements for rent, 55, whatever, whatever the rent requirements are, I'm responsible for all my living expenses. It's going to come out of my back end or whatever, right? And just make sure it's clear up front and they sign to it, they initial it. I understand. I've read my employment agreement. Here's the thing. You want to get them to, you want to have those conversations. These are some of the bombs you're exploding up front. And you've already told them about stuff, but now you just have an official thing. I promise you, I never had, it could happen, but I never had one person that was pissed at me after this meeting with them. All of them were like, yeah, okay, cool. And they appreciate it. But I promise you, I've had more people pissed at me because I didn't tell them some of these things in advance and I underled them. I challenge you to not be that leader that underleads the people that you're taking out. And I challenge you to teach your managers this stuff.